Hello, Radiant Leo. The universe is not sending you this message by accident. What if I told you that from August 2nd to 4th, a powerful financial breakthrough is being divinely orchestrated just for you? Would you believe that the abundance you've prayed for, the truth you've long suppressed, and the life you've only dared to imagine are all beginning to align right now? This video was made for one purpose: to guide you toward your truth and help you fully receive what is already on its way. Not just money, but peace. Not just answers, but freedom. And it all begins when you open your heart, not halfway, not conditionally, but fully, and decide to live no longer for fear, but for truth. That is your gateway to prosperity. There is something deeply sacred about this exact moment in time. You're not here by mistake. You're here because your soul is responding to a vibration, a call that's been echoing through your inner world, waiting for the right moment to rise. And now, it's rising. From a cosmic perspective, the sun is shining in your sign, Leo, energizing your identity, illuminating your value, and amplifying your magnetism. But the moon's dance in Aquarius, your opposite sign, is triggering a subtle but urgent spiritual push, a call to break free from emotional stagnation and live more honestly. It's no longer about maintaining appearances. It's about returning to what's real. And what's real is this: a stream of wealth is trying to reach you. That may look like a payment you forgot, a job invitation from someone unexpected, a client reaching out, or a long overdue breakthrough in a project. But make no mistake, this is not just about coincidence or luck. It's your reward for staying true, even in silence. You've carried others. You've smiled through your own storms. You've stayed, even when your spirit begged to run. The universe saw it all. And now it is asking, are you ready to receive? If something inside you whispers yes, even if it's a small, hesitant yes, then stay with me. You're about to remember something your soul has always known: that abundance is not earned through suffering, but claimed through truth. And Leo, you are the embodiment of courageous truth. So breathe with me. Let go of the weight you've carried just to survive. You don't need to fight for love anymore. You don't need to perform for recognition. You simply need to return to your heart, because that's where your power has always been. Let me take a moment to express my deepest gratitude for your presence here. Every like, every comment, every subscribe draws you closer into the family of eternal mindfulness, a place where transformation isn't just talked about, but truly lived. Your support fuels this channel and allows us to continue sharing messages that help you rise, heal, and remember who you really are. And Leo, you're going to want to stay until the very last second of this reading, because what the universe is revealing right now is absolutely extraordinary. This may be the most powerful window you've had in months, and if you lean in, it will shift everything. So tell me, beautiful Leo, what part of you was ready enough, brave enough, honest enough to bring you here today? Drop a comment to confirm what resonates. Tell me if you're already seeing the signs. And if your soul is stirring, if your chest feels lighter, if your inner voice is saying, "This is for me," then know that you are exactly where you're meant to be. Let's dive into your message. You've waited long enough. When the sun moves through Leo, your sign, it's not just a season, it's a spiritual mirror. It turns your gaze inward and outward at once, illuminating who you are and how you've allowed yourself to be seen. But now, with the waning moon transiting across Aquarius, your cosmic opposite, a subtle but profound tension is rising between I am, and I belong. This dance is not a conflict. It's an invitation. One that says, reclaim your light, not for others this time, but for yourself. You've given endlessly, Leo. You've lit the way for others even when your own path was dark. You've spoken strength while swallowing silence, poured warmth into spaces that never reflected it back. And now, the universe is doing something rare and beautiful. It's orchestrating a return. This isn't karmic payback. It's alignment. Energetic balance. You sowed in shadow. Now the harvest comes in light. There's a natural law, one older than words, that says nothing truly given is ever lost. The effort you thought went unnoticed, the love that felt unreciprocated, the sacrifices you made when no one was looking, none of it vanished. It became seeds. Seeds buried deep in the soil of your becoming. And now, under this cosmic tension, this magnetic pull between the core of your identity and the greater web of belonging, those seeds are stirring. You may not recognize them at first. They arrive as unexpected emails, a long overdue payment, an old collaborator reaching out with new eyes. They arrive as clarity, as confirmation, as sudden softness after long strain. But here's the deeper layer: you are not being rewarded for good behavior. You are being met. The frequency you've held quietly within, the generosity that never asked for applause, those things are now being mirrored back to you by the world outside. Because that's how true resonance works. When you stop chasing light and become it, everything shifts. There's a parable that speaks to this moment, not about reward, but about ripening. It says, the fruit does not force itself to fall. It waits until the sun has kissed it long enough, until the tree no longer resists its letting go. That is you. This is your season of ripening. The branch no longer holds you in suspense. What you've long waited for is becoming weighty enough to drop gently into your open hands. So the question is, can you let yourself receive? That's often the harder part, especially for a heart like yours, trained to give, conditioned to carry. But receiving isn't about passivity. It's about trust. Trusting that your place in this universe includes abundance. Trusting that what comes to you now is not a test, but an answer. That your worthiness was never up for negotiation. You may find yourself second-guessing, wondering if what shows up is too good to be true. That's okay. You're stepping into a new vibration. It takes time for the nervous system to adjust. But pay attention. Is your breath deepening? Is your body softening? Are you noticing tiny shifts in how people speak to you, how money finds you, how peace follows you home? These are signs. Subtle, but sacred. Like a lotus emerging from murky water, your joy does not owe explanation to the past that buried it. Your softness is not weakness. It is resilience after the storm. It is your returning to the truth that you never had to burn out to prove you were light. If something inside you is stirring as you hear this, take a moment to anchor it. You can simply whisper to yourself, I see what's arriving. I know it's for me. I welcome it fully. And if you're already seeing the signs, leave a comment below. Not for validation, but for confirmation. For community. For the invisible thread that reminds us we are walking this spiral path together. Because this moment isn't just about manifestation. It's about meeting yourself whole, seen, sovereign at the threshold of everything you've ever known you deserved. There is a quiet yet undeniable shift that happens when you begin to choose yourself without apology. During this window from August 2nd to 4th, you may feel echoes from the past pulling at you, voices, memories, or even people who once made you question your worth might reappear. But you're not the same person anymore. And that's the very heart of what this moment is offering you, not a test to prove yourself, but a mirror to see how far you've come. You're not here to defend your value. You're here to embody it. This phase is not about vengeance or proving them wrong, it's about liberation. Because when you've spent years shrinking, second-guessing, or editing your truth just to be accepted, standing tall becomes a revolutionary act. And you, dear Leo, were never meant to be small. You are fire in motion. But your fire does not need to burn others to exist. It only needs space to be honored. What's powerful now is that you're starting to notice how certain dynamics no longer feel aligned, not because you're cold, but because you've outgrown the need to trade authenticity for affection. You're recognizing that true connection does not require performance. The moment you stop negotiating with your own soul to keep someone else comfortable, you step into something sacred, self-respect. From an energetic standpoint, this shift aligns with the law of attraction on a deeper level. When you vibrate from lack, needing someone to choose you to feel worthy, you draw in reinforcement of that need. But when you vibrate from inner truth, you stop chasing and begin attracting. You stop reaching outward for permission and start radiating clarity. That's when the quality of your connections transforms, because you're no longer magnetizing from emptiness, but from fullness. This moment invites you to reflect on the emotional patterns you've been loyal to. Who taught you that your love had to be earned through sacrifice? Where did you learn that silence was safer than self-expression? Many of us were raised in spaces where love was conditional, where being seen meant being judged, and where being soft meant being weak. But those teachings were rooted in fear, not in wisdom. And fear is not a worthy teacher. There is a saying from the ancient path of awakening that goes, "Nothing ever returns the same way it left." People, opportunities, even old emotions may come back into your field now, but they are not here to stay unless they match who you are today. This is not about rejecting or resenting. It's about discerning. Choosing what resonates now. Choosing who you are becoming over who you used to need to be. You no longer need to be the version of yourself who waits for closure. You can choose completion now, not because you got the answers, but because you've outgrown the questions. Closure is not a gift someone gives you. It is a doorway you walk through with quiet courage. And so I ask you, softly but clearly, have you forgiven yourself? Not just for the things you did, but for the things you tolerated, the places you stayed too long, the words you swallowed, and the love you gave without return? If your answer is yes, or even just becoming yes, leave a comment below and say, "I have chosen myself." That affirmation is not just symbolic. It's energetic. It's a key that unlocks new relationships, new opportunities, and most importantly, a new relationship with your own heart. Because at this stage of your journey, the most magnetic thing you can do is simply tell the truth first to yourself, then to the world. And from that truth, your future will unfold, not as a repetition of what's been, but as a reflection of who you finally believe you are. When we speak of abundance, we often look outward toward opportunity, timing, or resources. But the deeper truth, the one reflected in both the stars and numbers this week, is that true abundance begins the moment you dissolve the internal resistance to receiving it. Between August 2nd and 4th, Leo, the cosmic architecture is not just pointing toward financial flow, it's asking if you're truly ready to step out of the role of survivor and into the energy of creator. Astrologically, this moment is deeply layered. The Sun, your planetary ruler, is now conjunct Jupiter, the great expander. This is not a subtle alignment. Jupiter magnifies everything it touches, and when it merges with the Sun in your sign, it doesn't just light a path forward, it blows open the doors. This is a configuration of wealth, of amplified self-belief, and most importantly, of energetic readiness. You are not simply being gifted potential, you are being invited to meet it with aligned thought, aligned speech, and aligned action. But here's the nuance, because astrology, like life, is never one-sided. While the Sun-Jupiter alignment is blessing you with possibility, Uranus, planet of disruption and revelation, is creating a square to your sign. This tension is not punishment. It is evolutionary pressure. Uranus doesn't destroy what is whole. It breaks what is false. So if there are parts of your mindset, routines, or relationships that are held together by fear, comfort, or obligation, expect them to wobble. Uranus will not allow you to receive expansion while clinging to contraction. To hold more, you must release the container that no longer fits. This is where numerology sharpens the message. The number 8, activated strongly for Leo in this cycle, is the number of power but not domination. It is the kind of power that flows from integrity, from inner authority, from choosing your own path regardless of external validation. 8 reminds you that energy is cyclical. What you give, you receive, if and only if you allow yourself to remain open. It is the infinity loop: give, receive, expand, repeat. The numbers 2 and 4 also rise here, offering structure and balance. 2 invites you into harmony, not with others first, but within yourself. 4 reminds you to build foundations, not just financial, but emotional ones. It asks, is your life built on fear or freedom? On reaction or intention? When these numbers converge with the astrology of this moment, they tell a very clear story: wealth is near, but not if you continue to self-abandon to get there. This is the essence of the law of attraction, not just manifesting from desire, but manifesting from alignment. If your belief still carries shame around having, fear around keeping, or guilt around wanting more, then even the most generous gifts of the universe will bypass you. It's not personal. It's energetic. The universe responds to the vibration of your yes, not the volume of your longing. What holds you back now is not scarcity in the world, but scarcity in the mind: thoughts inherited, habits repeated, stories internalized. The belief that you must hustle endlessly to earn your rest, or suffer to deserve softness. These are illusions. And like a snake shedding skin, your growth depends on your willingness to outgrow the outdated. That's the real act of courage, not pushing harder, but releasing smarter. Freedom is the price of expansion. You cannot expand while gripping tightly to what once made you feel safe but now keeps you small. The portal to prosperity isn't out there, it's the moment you say, I'm done shrinking. So ask yourself, softly, what am I still holding on to that no longer honors who I'm becoming? What beliefs around money, worth, or work need to be rewritten so that I no longer resist what is already mine? Because make no mistake, Leo hats, yours is on the way. But only your truth can unlock the gate. Love, when it is real, does not ask you to shrink. It does not demand your silence, your compliance, or your self-abandonment in exchange for belonging. And in this season, dear Leo, the universe is gently shifting your inner compass not only toward greater abundance and wealth, but toward a deeper recognition of what love and soul-aligned connection truly mean. From August 2nd to 4th, the invitation is clear. Come back to the kind of love that sees you entirely and still chooses you, not in spite of your flaws, but because you've embraced them as part of your wholeness. This moment is not about romantic fantasy or perfect timing. It's about maturity, the kind that emerges after heartbreak, solitude, and long conversations with your own reflection. For some of you, someone new may appear drawn not to an image of perfection, but to the radiant clarity you now carry from having faced your darkness. For others, someone from your past may return not as the person they were, but as someone who has also been reshaped by life. In either case, the decision remains with you. You are no longer the seeker waiting to be chosen. You are the chooser. This shift in love mirrors a deeper transformation happening within your sense of purpose. You can no longer live for external approval, for roles that soothe others while suffocating your own becoming. Every time you've swallowed your truth to avoid disruption, every time you've played smaller to maintain peace, you've drifted a step further from your mission. But now, the tension is too great to ignore. There's a fire beneath your ribs, not loud but persistent. It doesn't scream, but it insists. And that insistence is your soul whispering, "This isn't it." You were not born to please. You were born to live. Purpose, in its highest form, is not a job or a title. It is the alignment between who you are and how you move through the world. And this alignment cannot happen if you keep sacrificing authenticity for acceptance. Think of a lotus blooming in muddy waters, not by escaping the mud, but by growing through it. Your path has not been clean or linear, but it has been sacred. And now that you're rising from it, you are meant to carry what you've learned into everything you touch: your relationships, your work, your quiet moments of creation. From the lens of energetic law, the more truthful you are with yourself, the more magnetically you begin to attract those who are aligned. Not because you seek them, but because you become the frequency they've also been waiting to meet. And that is the paradox of soul partnerships. They often arrive not when you are desperate for connection, but when you are fully rooted in self-honesty. There is a teaching that reminds us, the greatest love is not the one that completes you, but the one that reflects you. Not as an echo, but as a mirror that says, "I see your fire, and I won't try to dim it." That's the kind of energy you're stepping into now. Love that requires no mask. Connection that does not hinge on your ability to bend. Belonging that begins, first and always, within yourself. So if your heart has been heavy, if your soul has been restless, if something inside you has been quietly asking for more, it's because you've outgrown what once fit. And that's not a tragedy. It's evolution. Trust that what is rising now is not taking anything from you, but making room for what is finally aligned. You don't need to chase what's real. You only need to stop chasing what's not. And if you felt this shift, if your body has begun saying no to things your mind still tries to justify, then you are already answering the call. Let it continue. Let it deepen. Let it become the new rhythm of your life. Healing does not begin in grand gestures or sweeping changes. It begins in the quiet moment you decide to lustento the breath you've been holding, the fatigue you've been ignoring, the body you've pushed to the side in the name of keeping up, holding on, or just getting through the day. This chapter, Leo, is about remembering that your body is not just a vessel. It's a voice. And right now, it's speaking to you. Not in pain, but in invitation. You've spent so much time in survival mode. Operating from urgency. Making decisions from pressure. Pushing through fatigue, emotional weight, uncertainty without a pause to ask, what do I actually need to feel safe in my own skin again? That question is your doorway. Because true power is not how much you can endure. It's how deeply you can be present with yourself, especially when you're not performing for anyone else. When the mind is anxious and the body tense, it's often a sign that the nervous system has been locked in hypervigilance for too long. Your breath becomes shallow, your sleep interrupted, your digestion inconsistent, not because something is wrong, but because your system has forgotten how to relax. And to heal, we must remind it. Gently. Daily. Through small, compassionate acts that rebuild safety from the inside out. Reducing stimulants like caffeine, especially when your body is already in overdrive, can help your adrenal system reset. Magnesium-rich foods like leafy greens, pumpkin seeds, or chia support your ability to release nervous tension. Even 5 minutes of diaphragmatic breathing morning and night, placing one hand on your belly and allowing it to rise slowly as you inhale, can retrain your body to access rest without needing to crash. Light, too, is medicine. By stepping outside in the early morning sun, you not only regulate your circadian rhythm, but also gently signal your body that it's safe to wake, to move, to receive. And at night, by dimming screens and allowing yourself time to power down, you reclaim the ancient rhythm your body has always known, that the dark is for release, not resistance. But beyond physical tools, the deeper medicine here is honesty. How many nights have you stayed up with thoughts spinning, not because of what you couldn't solve but because of what you were afraid to feel? How many days have you said, "I'm fine," when your body was quietly begging you to slow down, sit still, come back home? There is a teaching passed through generations. When the heart is not listened to, the body will start to speak. And when the body is not heard, it begins to shout. But you don't need to wait for the shout. You can meet yourself in the whisper. You can tend to the tension before it becomes pain. You can honor your fatigue before it becomes burnout. That is not weakness. That is wisdom. You do not need to earn your right to rest. You do not need to justify softness. Your worth is not measured by how much you can produce, fix, or achieve. It is felt in how deeply you can care for your own well-being without guilt. Because when you care for yourself not to escape, but to return, you become whole again. The healing you seek does not ask for perfection. It asks for presence. It asks that you let go of the belief that you must always be doing to be deserving. It invites you to treat your own body the way you would a child or a dear friend, with gentleness, with reverence, with space to breathe. This season is not about just getting through. It's about finally getting free. And that freedom begins the moment you say yes, not to more doing, but to deeper being. You were never meant to live in the shadow of someone else's expectations. You were born with your own light, your own rhythm, your own truth. And perhaps for a long time, that truth was whispered quietly under layers of survival, adaptation, or fear. But now, Leo, the universe is making a way for you to step out of hiding, not to impress the world, but to remember yourself. To claim the life that already belongs to you. A life built not on performance, but on presence. Not on striving, but on alignment. You don't need to wait for permission anymore. You don't need a title, applause, or the right timing. The timing is now because you've already done the inner work. You've walked through the emotional droughts, questioned your own worth in the silence, and still chose to stay kind, to keep showing up, to keep growing. This is not luck. This is resonance. This is your reward for staying real in a world that often tempts us to disappear. So if a part of you feels lighter after hearing this message, if something in your chest feels like it's breathing a little deeper, trust that. That's not coincidence. That's your soul recognizing its reflection. That's your body remembering what it feels like to belong to yourself. And from that space, everything changes. Let this be the moment where you pause and ask yourself, gently, what would it look like to live from my truth, not just on the good days, but every day? What's one thing I can release right now that no longer reflects who I am becoming? And most of all, am I willing to receive what I say I want? Because yes, a financial breakthrough is coming. A door you thought had closed will creak open again. An opportunity will arrive when you least expect it, not because the universe just noticed you, but because it's finally time for you to stop hiding from what you've prepared yourself to receive. And as that blessing approaches, let it find you honest. Let it find you open. Let it find you brave enough to trust your new boundaries, your new voice, your new standards. You are not behind. You are not late. You are right on time for the life that's been quietly waiting for you to catch up to your own expansion. So if something in this message resonated with you, if you felt even one sentence speak to your experience, I invite you leave a comment below and say, I am ready to open my heart and receive. Not because I need to hear it, but because you need to claim it. Declare it. Make it real. And if you know someone who is standing on the edge of their next chapter, someone who just needs a reminder that they're not broken, only blooming, share this video with them. Let healing ripple outward. Because when you share your light, you don't lose it. You multiply it. Thank you for being here with me, for your presence, for your time, for your openness. Every like, every comment, every subscribe draws you deeper into the family of eternal mindfulness, where your growth is witnessed, your truth is honored, and your soul is never too much. Remember, from August 2nd to 4th, let your heart be your compass. Let truth be your path. And let abundance find you, not because you chased it, but because you became it. I'll be here always with you, on this journey of light, of freedom, of becoming.